Hi everybody, I hope you've all had a wonderful day, a wonderful time, slept well, ate well, just all around had a good day, because I'm about to ruin it. Over the past couple of days, I've looked at Britain, countries like Britain, and I've noticed that things in Britain aren't looking too good, right? For example, with the internet law, people are very much against that. The idea of internet being restricted in the way that it is, they weren't big fans of that. Combined with the things about, like, for example, with the rape gangs in Britain and other problems with immigrants, with how the British government seems to be practically caring more about the immigrants coming into their country instead of the native citizens of Britain. It honestly paints it paints a pretty bad picture of their future. In fact, I actually do have a bit of a theory of what's going to happen in the future, like a prediction, I'll call it, and I'm going to share it with you all. I genuinely do believe, because I've been thinking about this for a while, I genuinely do believe that in the future, right, in the coming months, not in the coming years, in the coming months, hate for immigrants is going to rise drastically. I genuinely do believe that if the government doesn't really do anything to fix the problem, because I feel like even if the government does different things to try to find a middle ground in what the people want, because for context, the people in Britain are actually protesting. They're protesting, they're in the streets, they're telling people to turn the boats away, to stop the immigrants from coming into Britain at such a fast pace, right? Or just at all, right? And I genuinely do believe that if the government doesn't just downright listen to them and just turn the boats away, stop immigrants from coming into the country, or start taking people out, if they try to kind of skirt around that, it's going to create more problems. It's going to absolutely create more problems. Why? Because it's showing that the people are actually affecting what the government is doing, but it's not strong enough for the government to actually make significant change, which is probably going to piss away more people off. Which is why I genuinely do think, and I think that's number one, a bad idea. And I also think that if the British government doesn't do anything at all, it's going to both lead to kind of the same result. And I think that same result is, well, Islamophobia, racism, and possible terrorism. Why do I think this? Because I think when I really just noticed a pattern that tends to happen with these kinds of groups, where the British are there's a group protesting about certain groups of people being in their country, and when people aren't listening to them, they just tend to become more extreme, right? So I do genuinely believe that with the British protests, right, they're going to be saying, at first they're going to be saying things like turn the boats, turn the boats, turn the boats. But when someone has the balls to say sink the boats instead, that's going to create a massive change. That because that in itself is bad to say, but because there are so many people who will already have thought of that, considered it, and decided that that's what they want, but they don't have the balls to say it. So when someone has the balls to say, guys, let's kill them instead of taking them away, that's going to trigger a massive flood of people that are openly expressing those kinds of ideas. And I call that terrorism, because killing people to protect a political agenda. And I think the reason, because sometimes people think that the protests will just quiet down. They'll just quiet down after some time. But let me tell you, the thing with Britain is that, realistically, the British have a lot more problems because of the government's just lackluster action when it comes to immigrants. For example, a bit of history. A couple months ago, if not a couple of years ago, actually no, this is happening for years, there are gangs from foreign countries, like Pakistani gangs and stuff like that, inside of UK. And these gangs have been actually kidnapping alleged minors, possible minors, I don't know, some people say young women, some people say children, I'm not really sure. There have been gangs in Britain for years, actually years and decades, that have been kidnapping young women / minors and sexually assaulting them, raping them, actually. And there have been stories about how victims of these rapes have been going to the police, and the police have just ignored them or tried to shut them up. Because I mean, some say it's because they're afraid of being racist. I think there could be a bigger problem with that. This is just a theory. I think maybe there are some people, powerful people in the British government, who are interested in keeping that shut. But honestly, I can't really say. But one thing I can say is that these kinds of stories, these kinds of gang rapes, because I mean, some sources say that they've been raping like thousands of girls and women, right? So like these things combined, these gang rapes combined, these gangs combined with all the other problems in Britain, with like other issues in the country that are obviously pissing a lot of the citizens off, combined honestly make a force to be reckoned with. And I feel like that's why I feel like the British government can't just try to skirt around. The British government can't just like ignore this, because it's just going to get more extreme, and the British government can't just try to find a middle ground where they don't fully deport everybody, where they don't fully like get rid of all the immigrants. It's like, I think the British government can't just like try to avoid a scenario where they get rid of the immigrants if they don't want mass extremism to grow in Britain, right? And I genuinely do think this is going to happen, not in a couple of years, in a couple of months. If the British government doesn't do anything, or just doesn't downright turn all the boats away, what's going to follow is going to be downright extremism in Britain. Someone's going to have the balls to, when someone has the balls to say, guys, sink the boats instead of turn the boats, that's gonna be when shit hits the butt. And that's gonna be when shit hits the no return point. Because at that point, by the time one person has the balls to say, that's when everybody realizes it's gonna be like the LGBTQ. You know how with the LGBTQ, like not many people were openly anti-LGBTQ, but when the LGBTQ started talking about children, trans kids, you'd see one after the other how people were just openly just expressing their anti-LGBTQ sentiments. How like one or two people had the balls to say that shit's enough, and that LGBTQ is kind of fucked up. And then you just saw way more people just saying that they were anti-LGBTQ. It's like a wave. It's like a wave. When one person has the balls to say something, that's when everybody has the balls to say something. And just like that, you're going from fighting one person to an army. Which is why I feel like the British government has to do something. They don't really have to do anything. They could just let that extremism grow and grow and grow, and deal with the terrorism and shit. But that's just my prediction for Britain. That's all I want to say today. Hope you all have a lovely day. Hope you value yourself. Hope you love yourself. Hope you can appreciate the nature and go outside and love the nature around you, love the people around you, and love the nature the blessed nature that we have around us. If you don't got nature, well, look at yourself. You're a byproduct of nature. I hope you love yourself and appreciate yourself. Maybe work out. Maybe go for a jog. I don't know. Drink a smoothie. That's very healthy. I hope you all have a lovely day. Good evening, good morning, and good night. Goodbye. God loves you.